The writing? The writing. But why though? He's the worst. The worst. Huh? What? Stop it. Stop it. No. Hot garbage. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' unpopular opinions, maybe. I have done the original, I guess, unpopular opinions tag. I think twice I've done it. And the last time I did it was like last year. But then Elle came up with the unpopular opinions book opinions. I don't know the full title, but 2.0 with some slightly different questions. So that is what I'm going to do today. There are 8 questions. So let's just get into it. Question number 1 is a genre great that you don't get the hype for. So I went with a young adult fantasy. I mean fantasy, but like this is specifically young adult, or I think it's young adult, right? The Six of Crows duology, I liked it, okay? I liked it. Initially when I read it, I thought that I liked the Grishaverse trilogy better, but then I reread the Grishaverse trilogy and I was like, oh no, I think I probably like Six of Crows better. And when I initially read it, I was like, oh yeah, this is so great. I had both books, but I eventually unhauled them because over time it just was a series that I realized I didn't actually care that much about. I didn't know if I was ever going to reread it. I might, but I would just get it from the library or something because, yeah, it just didn't stick with me like that. But people fucking love the Six of Crows duology. And I'm just like, I guess it was fine, yeah. Another one from a different genre that I felt similarly about is Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, historical fiction, Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my God, everybody loses their shit over this. And when I read it, I liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars or something like that. I was like, yeah, no, it was pretty good. Like, it lived up to the hype. But man, I don't think it does actually though. The level of hype that it gets is wild to me. Because, I don't know, I read a okay amount of historical fiction. It's not like my number one genre by any means, but I read more historical fiction, I think, than a lot of like, you know, real big into fantasy readers. And like, there's some amazing historical fiction out there. I mean, City of Girls, my all-time favorite book, I would say, is historical fiction, and I fucking love it. And it's a very similar vibe as Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo as far as the premise and like the storytelling like tool that we're using here. An older woman telling her life story to a younger woman back in, this was like World War II era. And this is in like New York, Broadway, like theater world where Seven Husbands is like old Hollywood. So it's like similar setup. Not the same setup at all. Not the same, like the older woman telling her story, like there's not the same relationship there between these two or anything like that. And it's not like a reporter or a journalist or anything. It's just a chick. But like, I just think it's wild. I don't know that Seven Husbands gets the praise that it gets. Cause like it was good. I enjoyed it. But it's again, another one that over time I'm like, would I reread it? I don't know that I would actually. Like it didn't stick with me as like, oh God, that was so great. Like I probably, when I initially rated it, I think probably some of the hype was like influencing. Not that I was like, oh, everyone else says they like it, so I like it too. Like I liked it. I did. I had a good time reading it. But it just wasn't one that like stuck with me like that. It's one that over time I've been like, I guess. And then there's just some stuff with the plot at the end that it's not great. It's not great. So yeah, those two I would say. Number 2 is an adaptation that you wish was never made. And I honestly, I was racking my brain. I can't really think of one. Like, I thought that the Rings of Power show is hot garbage. But I'm not even, like, I've never read Lord of the Rings. I've never read any Tolkien. I've seen the old, like, the movies, the original movies, the trilogy, and I love it. But, like, that's the extent of my knowledge of that world. I'm not, like, some huge Tolkien stan that's like mad about the changes they made or anything like that. I just thought like the acting wasn't great. The plot was, what the hell? The writing. I did not like it. But again, it's not like I care about like its validity as an adaptation. I just think it wasn't a good show. regardless of its status as an adaptation. And yeah, I just can't think of any others. Number 3, a book or series where you have to fight back your inner snob when people don't like it because you just think they don't get it. And Elle was explaining it as like, you know, if you're a booktuber or a book reviewer anywhere, like if you don't like something, like we've all had that, like someone leaving a comment being like, you just didn't understand it, or you didn't read it properly. Like I've literally had people tell me like, you didn't read it right. Like, what? What does that fucking mean? Because I perceived things differently than you. Like I didn't read it right. But then alternatively, we also all, I think, can have that knee-jerk reaction of something we love that people hate, and you're just like, you just didn't understand it. Like, I know the feeling, I just wouldn't actually leave those comments, right? And 2 books that I think do that for me, definitely City of Girls. Like, when I did my, like, reacting to 1-star reviews of some of my faves, and City of Girls included, like, when people hate it, like, hate it. If someone's just like, it was fine, that's like, okay, whatever. But when people, like, actively hate it, and the issues they have with it, I was sitting there just like, what? What? What are you talking about? Definitely fighting back the inner snob. And then also The Final Strife, I think, is another one. Again, I know people who, like, read it and are like, it's fine, cool. And I'm like, that's fine. But when people actively hate it or, like, think it was trash or something, I'm just like, huh? What? Why? Because I just love it so much, you know? Number 4, a book or series that you're tired of everyone hating on. I don't really know, honestly. I mean, I think a quick answer could be like Sarah J. Maas, but I don't really care that much. I don't know, like the Throne of Glass series I really like. A lot of people don't like it, but it's like whatever. I think the ACOTAR series, Elle talked about this in her video, when she did this tag. Like, I think the ACOTAR series, it's one of those series that it's almost like people purposely read it knowing they're going to hate it just to have like a rant vlog or, you know, a funny vlog of them like shitting all over it or whatever. But I don't really care. I don't know. It doesn't like, I don't feel any kind of way about it. If people want to do that, then hey, have at it. I didn't even end up loving that entire series once I got to the end of it, and I have not continued with the like continuation stuff. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know. I mean, kind of, I guess I could say Colleen Hoover. But again, I don't really care that much. I've never read any Colleen Hoover. I don't plan to, but like everybody like talks about how much she sucks all the time and her books. But like, again, I don't really care. Like I'm not like sick of seeing it. I'm just like, whatever. If I don't want to watch those videos, I just don't watch those videos. Sometimes they're funny though. Number 5, a book or series that everyone thinks is really powerful, but you just didn't connect with. Knee-jerk reaction here, easy answer for me is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin and the Blood whatever duology by N.K. Jemisin. Just N.K. Jemisin in general. Thus far, I have not vibed with her writing. And yeah, everyone is just always like, oh my God, she's the queen. And I'm sure she is for those of you that vibe with that writing style. It's not for me, apparently. I have come to terms with it. I'm trying to think of any others. Nah, I guess that's all. As far as ones I've read. There's other books that like I see people talking about that are like, oh, so powerful, that I just have no interest in reading. So, I mean, there's that. Number 6, a character you just don't get the hype for. The dudes from ACOTAR, not Reese, I mean him too, but like I liked Reese when I read that series. But the other dudes, the other 2, what are their names? Cassian and something or other. And I don't, like, whenever people read that for the first time and, like, go on and on about loving these 2, I'm like, man, when I read it, they just, like, blended into one person to me. Like, I did not, like, they were cool or whatever. I didn't, like, dislike them. But my God, people, like, simp for these 2 so hard. And I'm just like, I guess. I mean, they were there. They were cool, I suppose. I just didn't give a fuck about them, really. Also, anyone, you know who you are, Robin and Jess, who loves Dara from the fucking City of Brass shit. The David Bond trilogy, I don't understand. Like, I genuinely, like, I want to sit down and, like, analyze your brains. Because I'm just like, huh? But why, though? He's the worst. The worst. Abusive. Emotionally abusive. Manipulative. Just all these bad tactics. I don't understand. I don't understand when people love Dara. Like, I just don't. And nothing you can say is going to convince me that he's good or worthy of admiration. Because no. Oh my God. So that's probably the most, like, intense one, I guess. Because the other two, I'm just kind of like, I just don't get why people love them. They're, like, just there. Dara, I actively hate. Number 7, a book or series everyone wants an adaptation for, but you do not. I don't know that everyone wants this. They're making it, or I don't know if they still are. I think they are. The fucking Game of Thrones sequel series, Snow, that they want to make. Stop it. No, I don't. Ugh, why? And then, okay, I did used to want this, and I mean, I will still check it out if it does ever get made. There were talks of the Throne of Glass series being optioned to be made into a TV show. And, like, in theory, I like that idea, but I just certain it's probably gonna, if it does even get made, which I don't know that it is still, if it were to get made, I feel like it would end up being some kind of, like, a CW show level, like, production and whatnot. And, I mean, that can be fun if you like that. I tend to not love that. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, it could work, but it also could just be absolute garbage. So, I don't know. Number 8, a book or series you think people have bias toward, and they don't really love it as much as they claim, or they don't really hate it as much as they claim. So basically something where, like, again, not to say people are just lying and being like, I love this, when they don't, or saying they hate something when they secretly love it. Nothing like that, but more just like the hype, like really getting to people and influencing people. You know, we all want to be part of, like, a group, right? It's fun. It's fun to be included in, like, a group. So whether it's the group of people that hate this thing or the group of people that love this thing, it can be fun to be, like, included in that. And we can all, to some degree, be influenced by the hype or the, like, anti-hype. You know what I mean? If all you hear is how much something sucks over and over and everybody says it's the worst, oh my God, it's the worst, and you go into it, you're probably just naturally, like, subconsciously gonna go into it ready for negative feelings. Almost like subconsciously looking for negative feelings. And vice versa. For something is hyped as being amazing, oh my God, blah, 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 right? You can be influenced and, like, oh, I did like this, and yeah, I, like, loved it. And, like, me with the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, right? Like I said, I didn't read it and be like, yeah, no, I love it. But, like, I didn't. I liked it, but I think I probably gave it a slightly higher rating right when I read it because of just being caught up in all of that. You know what I mean? So, one that I think people might have bias toward with loving is the Malazan series. Like the level to which people go on and on about that. I haven't read any of them. I've read some of the parts of the essays from the author online, and yeah, that immediately turned me off to ever reading any of his books because I was like, not for me. I think some of the bias there is almost like it's lauded as, like, the epitome of fantasy. If you're a real fantasy lover, then you'll love this. And it's so, like, deep, and you're such an intellectual if you love it. And I think that can influence people. Like, I want to be included in that group that's, like, so intellectual and such, like, intense fantasy lovers. Again, not that I think people are faking it by any means. I doubt very seriously anybody's hating these books and secretly giving it 1 star and then being like 5 publicly. Like, no. But I do think that some of that bias can influence, you know? And alternatively, with people hating, I don't know, man. Again, like, Sarah J. Maas is an easy answer, but also some of her books are genuinely, like, hot garbage. So there's that. I think generally, young adult fantasy in particular, people can kind of go into it with, like, a bias. I try really hard not to do that as an older reader. If I am picking up young adult, I don't pick it up very often anymore because I know I do tend to just not love the tone of it. It is targeted toward a younger audience. It makes sense that the tone is going to be slightly different. But I think some people, like, continuously pick up young adult And I don't know why, because I'm like, you obviously are feeling negatively about like the tone or certain elements of it that fit the target audience. So like, stop picking it up. But also I think sometimes there are people who just, knowing something is young adult, they like, if it's like a Patreon pick from their channel members or their Patreon members or whatever, and like, I have to read this and it's young adult, like they kind of go into it with, again, that negative connotation already. And again, it makes sense. It happens to us all. I don't really have like one in particular, I guess. I mean, the ACOTAR series, I think at this point, a lot of people go into it expecting like, this is going to be garbage. And like, you know, I'm not saying it's great literature, but I had fun with it when I read it, the first 2 books anyway. There we go. Those are my answers. That's all the questions, unless I forgot to put one, but I don't think I did. I don't think I had any crazy opinions here, any real hot takes or anything like that. Let me know what some of your answers might be. Books that you just don't understand the hype for, that you've read and you're just like, what? That feeling of like, did we read a different book? Am I reading a different book from everybody else? Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined and you have not already. Ring the little bell, again, if you feel like it. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.